pain. It visits us all, quietly, violently, uninvited. But what if pain isn't your enemy? What if it's your test, your teacher, your mirror? Most people run from it, numb it, bury it deep, and they think this is strength. But Marcus Aurelius, an emperor, a philosopher, a man surrounded by death, betrayal, and war, saw it differently. He didn't see pain as something to avoid. He saw it as something to use. He believed the obstacle is not in the way. The obstacle is the way, and that changes everything. Imagine ruling an empire while burying your children, writing words of calm while marching through plague-ridden cities, waging war on the outside, and wrestling with despair on the inside. That was Marcus Aurelius, a man whose entire reign was drenched in suffering. But instead of breaking, he wrote, he reflected, he endured. In his meditations, scribbled late at night, he whispered to himself truths we still quote centuries later. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Accept whatever comes woven in the pattern of your destiny. These weren't feel-good affirmations. They were survival. They were defiance. He wasn't speaking from a golden throne. He was speaking from the battlefield of life. Here's the truth most will never tell you. Pain can be sacred. The Stoics knew it. The mystics knew it. Even science now admits it. Stress, discomfort, adversity, when embraced consciously, rewire the brain. They make us sharper, stronger, more alive. The body grows under pressure. The mind evolves through challenge. The spirit awakens when there's nowhere left to hide. Aurelius didn't just endure pain, he transformed it. He saw adversity not as a curse, but as a forge. Modern neuroscience backs him up. Painful experiences, when processed and reflected on, actually strengthen neural pathways. They build resilience, but only if you face them, only if you use them. But here's the twist. Pain doesn't disappear when you ignore it. It waits. And when you run, it grows. You see it everywhere. In addictions, in rage, in lives half-lived. Unfelt grief becomes bitterness. Suppressed anger becomes anxiety. Avoided truth becomes self-betrayal. Carl Jung called it the shadow. Everything you deny becomes the thing that controls you. We weren't meant to run from our suffering. We were meant to sit with it, listen to it, learn from it. When you run from pain, it doesn't vanish. It festers, it mutates, and slowly. It destroys the very parts of you that could have been transformed. There is a duel happening inside you. On one side, the voice that says, "Why me?" On the other, the voice that whispers, "Use it." This is your crossroad. Pain is a fire, and fire can burn you to ash, or it can forge steel. The choice is never about avoiding pain. That's not on the table. The choice is, will you let it bury you, or will you let it build you? This is what Aurelius discovered in the cold of war, in the silence of solitude, that suffering awakens the soul. If you're brave enough to let it. He aligned himself with something deeper than comfort. He aligned with logos, the order behind chaos, the wisdom beneath emotion. And once you do that, pain loses its power to control you. It becomes something else entirely. A compass, a gift. Stillness, even when the world burns. This is the quiet power Aurelius mastered. He didn't suppress emotion. He transcended reaction. He didn't pretend the pain wasn't there. He walked into it without becoming it. He held the sword but didn't flinch. He bore the weight but didn't break. That is real strength. Not the absence of pain, but peace in its presence. This is what he meant when he said, "Receive without pride, let go without attachment." The pain comes. You breathe, you stay, and you rise. So here you are, the same crossroads Aurelius faced. The pain in your life, it isn't random. It's calling you to wake up, to see, to grow. But the question remains, will you use the pain or let it use you? Will you let it build you into someone new, or let it slowly eat away the life you could have lived? There's no easy path, but there is a path worth walking, and maybe, just maybe, your pain isn't a punishment, it's a portal, the doorway to the version of you that only fire could reveal. What if the pain you're running from is the very thing meant to wake you up? What if your suffering isn't punishment but preparation? We've been taught to fear pain, to hide it, to bury it. But Marcus Aurelius, philosopher, emperor, warrior, saw something different. In the burning chaos of life he found clarity. In his darkest moments he uncovered light. He wrote not to the world but to himself. In private journals, through sleepless nights, surrounded by war, plague, and betrayal, he whispered truths that still echo today. He didn't run from the pain, he leaned in, he studied it, he used it. If you are distressed by anything external, he wrote, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. You suffer, not because of what happens, but because of how you see it. This idea, simple, almost cruel, holds a secret most never understand. Pain is not the end of your story, it's the threshold, the gate, the place where everything can begin again, but only if you let it. Pain is not a punishment, it's not a flaw in your story. It's not a failure of character. Pain is energy, raw, wild, burning, but misunderstood. We're taught to treat pain like an invader, something to reject, suppress, numb. But Marcus and the Stoics saw it differently. They believed pain was a teacher, a purifier, a silent fire sent to reveal what's real and what was only illusion. Modern science, too, has begun to agree. Neuroscience shows that pain is not just physical, it's perception, it's meaning. Two people can feel the same wound differently, but because of how they interpret it. The Buddhists echo this. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. And Carl Jung once said, what you resist persists. So what is pain? It's a message, one that says something within you needs to be seen, heard, changed, not hated, held, not resisted, revealed. Marcus wrote often of the inner citadel, the fortress of mind that pain cannot touch unless you open the gates yourself. He knew something we forget. Pain is not the enemy. Identification with pain is, because once you become the wound, you forget you were the healer all along. Let's strip away the marble statues, the books, the myths. Marcus Aurelius was a man, flesh and blood, and he bled more than most. He ruled an empire crumbling from within. He faced rebellion from men he trusted. He watched his own children die. And he lived through one of the deadliest plagues in Roman history. He was not spared. He was tested. And yet, he never gave up the fight within. He wrote in the fire. He penned, his meditations during campaigns intense, beside dying soldiers. It wasn't meant to be published. These words were letters to himself, reminders, armor, anchors. He would write over and over, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Even as his world collapsed, he didn't try to escape. He chose to transform. What makes Marcus unforgettable is not that he was emperor, it's that he remained sovereign of his soul. When others would have cursed the gods, he asked deeper questions. When others broke, he broke open. In him, we see the truth. Life will test you, but what it reveals depends on who you decide to be when the fire comes. There's a moment in every story where the hero faces the fork in the road. Not in the world but inside. You're standing at it now. Pain has arrived, uninvited, unwanted. And now the question hangs in the air. Will you resist and break, or will you meet it and transform? This is where destiny is forged, not in circumstance but in response. The Stoics knew this, so did the mystics, so did survivors of war, trauma, and loss. Pain is not personal. It's part of the pattern. It visits everyone. But some are destroyed by it, and some are reborn. Why? Because Suffering doesn't shape you. What you do with suffering does. You can choose to see your pain as chaos or as a call, as punishment or as purpose. That decision is your power. Marcus chose meaning, chose discipline, chose stillness. He refused to give pain the power to define him. And you have that same choice right now. Here's the truth few want to hear. The greatest awakenings come wrapped in pain. What you call heartbreak, the mystics called initiation. What you call darkness, the alchemists called the blackening, the first stage in turning lead into gold. Marcus lived this, so did Rumi, so did saints, sages, and warriors throughout time. It's a universal pattern: destruction, then clarity, collapse, then rebirth. But only if you stay, only if you watch, only if you dare to feel. Most run from the pain and never see the gold hidden within it. But the brave, the seekers, the ones who fall to their knees and whisper, "Teach me," they begin to see. That pain was never the enemy. It was the door. And the wound? That was the light breaking in. The wound, Rumi wrote, is the place where the light enters you. You weren't broken. You were breaking open. You weren't being punished. You were being prepared. If you can sit in the fire and not flinch, you will find something no one can ever take from you.